food upbringing has been very like simple, very grateful to have food on the table. But ultimately the food that I've been given to what I'm producing in the restaurant is not on. Um, so yeah, food for thought, the old bin, turkey dinosaurs, smiley faces. This is a traditional English food. Um, ready-made meals, ready-made lasagnas. Again, always grateful to have food on the table at the time. So yeah, can't complain.
And did that ever feel so? Did it feel natural when you stepped into the professional kitchen? I don't know whether you started with the classic, I'm peeling the potatoes
Yeah, yeah.
and chopping the veggies.
Again, I didn't do the whole like started as a kitchen porter. Right, I mean, I was quite fortunate. I did 3 years at Western College. Um, learned classical French cookery by the book. And then my first job was working for Pierre Kaufman at the Barclay Hotel. So going and seeing this guy in the meeting, I had no idea who he was or what it's about. Um, it was life changing to then realize how ingredients come together to then comes from certain sections within the kitchen. So one plate could have 5 different people's influence on that. To then feed one guest or table two or table three. So yeah, quite special, but very different, unexpected. I think
Did it feel overwhelming or stressful at any point?
felt very overwhelming. Obviously, as what's the right word to use? Working in a kitchen where there's 25 chefs in the brigade. I started on pastry. I did a year on pastry because it was a lot of a smaller team. I didn't really want to get lost within everyone else. Um, and like over like shadows, you know. So yeah, I had a started as a commie. Um, and yeah, probably worked ridiculous hours. Um, which is what it's not about now.
So, when you cook nowadays, there must be a huge difference.
Mm.
What's it like now for you to cook?
Cooking now for me is a way of forgetting about life. It's a way of zoning out. Um, and it's for me, cooking's like a mechanism of forgetting about negativity. I kind of bring positive vibes to the kitchen, good energy, and that's kind of what we want. Normally, when there's issues at home or my personal life, come to work, I end up coming into like sort of bubble where nothing can go wrong, or I can't be sad, I become happy. Yeah, the job is stressful. There's always pressure, to especially keep consistency, which is for me what I kind of strive on the most when we're fully booked and working under pressure. That's kind of when I think you get the best out of me as a person. But at the same time, that's not just me; it's my team as well. So I know what buttons to push, what buttons to not push. I know I can understand most well, facts. I understand every chef's weaknesses and strengths. So me as the leader of the team downstairs it's a way that I can give more direction and get the best out of everyone.
So, would you think that the reason the bubble works so well for you is because you have a lot of insight and information and you observe well?
100%. I think without observing individuals, no one's the same. Um, it becomes a lot more easier, especially when you have the same people that's working with you most days, most months, most years. Um, become quite fortunate and quite lucky, I think.
Mm. Would you say that these things that you've trained sort of perhaps naturally, but also intentionally in the kitchen to be able to function and to be able to lead and manage, is that, are you taking that with you to life as well in some way?
100%. I think when starting the career as a chef, I was always questioning my worth. Am I good enough at doing this, or am I not doing this right? How can I get better? Or I'm very lucky, very fortunate to be in a position where you only have to show me something once, and then I can reciprocate that. Whereas some chefs, it might take two, three, four, 5 times. For us here, with my team, that doesn't matter because you're a good person and we're going to train you and show you. Back then, it was quite brutal. It's different. If you weren't good enough or you couldn't do the job, like you're out. Um, Especially when working in like France, that was quite tough, not knowing the language either. So I knew when I was getting bollocked. because you know about it. um, so then mentally and physically, it does take it out of you, I think. Um, but yeah, bringing that into my personal life, I always try to avoid that. Like even now when I go home after a tough day, I'll make sure I'm talking to my girlfriend about something outside of the industry, outside of the work, because she's not part of this bubble that I'm here with the same guys every day. So yeah, for me the bubble's always got positive.
Thank you for being so open about it. Thank you for that insight. Would you say that there's something that's particularly good or works for you in the kitchen when you need to channel some frustration? Would you say you're turning that negativity into positivity?
Yeah, I would rather take most of the workload to channel negativity. My kitchen porter's on holiday, I'll take the hit. I'll open earlier, I'll do the deliveries, I'll take the bin bags out. Like, I'd rather just take the hit on that. And it's routine as well. I love routine. For me, that's very important, even on days off. COVID was a massive thing with mental health. Ultimately, I think the way I was dealing with it would be to take a shower, reach out to someone who's a close friend, family member, express that feeling. Because obviously, a lot of the conversations that we're having online and social media, and you never realize how close the industry is since that situation. I think sometimes I do go back to them scenarios of when I was struggling or the world wasn't as it would be normally every day, which took me out of my routine. To then implement that into what we do here to make sure everybody is on the same track and not being affected outside of the bubble, but then does bring no negativity within the bubble. Yeah, crazy.
Did you cook during COVID?
I was busy, so I cooked. I took the plates and cutlery from the restaurant, and I was doing what we do here in people's homes, which then covered a lot of the costs for all my chefs being furloughed. So financially, I tried to make them more stable. Obviously, with the whole government situation and the cut of only a certain percent, but I kept busy. But then because I was busy, I managed to incorporate and bring in my front of house team, my chefs, to make them busy. So that way they had routine. So yeah, it worked out quite well.
So actually, cooking kept you sane during those
100%.
really uncertain times.
100%. I think the first week I was like chilling. It was like a holiday, just watching Netflix and routines being distracted. But then, yeah, when I came up with this idea and it exploded, it was a question of am I doing this full time or coming back to the restaurant because the demand was so high and people loved it. It's coming back into the restaurant scene and back into life, should we say, when things went back to normal. It was a reality check saying that this is what we managed to get through. This is what helped us physically, mentally, work for the mind, body, everything, to the point of, yeah, routine is back to normal.
So, would you say that, for instance, for men who work in offices, who are not chefs, essentially, could cooking help them manage their stress or overwhelm, get a bit more of perhaps training, resilience, or even just wind down?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that cook just for fun. Obviously, the cooking that I do at work is serious. It's you're trying to bet yourself every day. You're trying to keep consistent. It ruins you when you see a negative review, or something's not positive. Then you start questioning your worth. Oh, is that dish good enough? Is this not good enough? But then, like, believing in what you do is the most important thing. But I know, like, cooking at home for me, especially, it's sort of like I just let loose. I'm out of my bubble. Try different things. I'll mess around. I might even burn something. I'm eating it, so I'm not being judged on it. So it's not personal, unless my girlfriend doesn't like it. But yeah, it's quite rare that happens actually. But yeah, it's I think it's a good way. But then, yeah, like I said, the mentality of doing something to keep a routine is so important because as soon as something goes wrong, I had a chef here actually came to work, lasted 2 days because his mental health wasn't where it should be. This was coming out of lockdown, but because he has so much personal issues, he couldn't find the balance of the distraction of leaving that at home, coming to work, doing a job. But he's doing a job, his head's just not there, and you can see, and it was not nice. So obviously, yeah, we get as much support, but yeah, it's finding the balance is so important.
There's quite a few people who would perhaps start to cook but are hesitant for whatever reason.
Mm.
They could feel like, oh, I'm too clumsy, oh, this is too complicated,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna burn things, or I'm not gonna remember. What advice would you give someone who's a bit apprehensive but really actually wants to cook?
yeah, go for it. I think our industry is so competitive. Like I get my inspiration through Instagram by seeing what other chefs are doing, which then leads me to take ideas or to learn something new. Even as a home cook, like just experiment, like have fun, enjoy. I love the thought of having dinner parties where you get 10 people around, and a lot of the sharing plates and being, yeah, let's try this. Got this going on. Loads of vegetarian food as well, and meat, and all the fishes, and yeah, you got nothing to this as long as it's not raw and it's cooked. Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
people can add stuff to it. So yeah, I think for me as a personally separating the cooking that I do here at work and at home has to be two different ways.
And lastly, is there any life lesson or truth that you've distilled from being in contact with food every single day?
I think you're only as good as the produce that you use. Yeah, if you're cooking ingredients that is not the best quality, then ultimately you won't get the best product.
And that is also transferable to life, isn't it?
100%.